Hey, this is the World Advice Channel 2. What I want to talk about today is the topic of is Boys in the Hood overrated? So, when it comes to answering that question, the simple answer is no, it is not overrated. Because the truth of the matter is, even though Boys in the Hood has become pretty much one of those movies that is considered, you're black if you watch that movie at least once, as well as it's become very significant in the media with many representations and many homages and so on and so forth to it. The truth of the matter is, when you tend to see things like that, people, especially particularly, of course, the homages and stuff, you tend to assume, a lot of people tend to assume that it's overrated, but it's definitely not overrated. Because the truth of the matter is, especially when you look at the movies that came out at the time when Boys in the Hood actually was released, okay, most of them were shooted up movies that you can clearly tell were unrealistic. Especially when you would have people who are gang members, let alone can't even hold a pencil for that matter properly, let alone were not even that well trained in learning how to shoot and all that type of stuff. All of a sudden, start magically, taking out like 5, 10 people when they start shooting. Things like that was actually normal back in the days, especially movies like Colors and all the gang movies and stuff that came out in those days. Pretty much all of them, or not even pretty much, literally just about all of them were unrealistic in its depiction of how people survive in actual shootouts and all that stuff. When Boys in the Hood came out, it was completely realistic. Of course, I don't want to give any spoilers, but pretty much everyone's going to watch the movie anyway. But either way, I would still want to give any spoilers. When it comes to the way they depicted the violence, it was realistic, with how it depicted it. It wasn't people shooting up all over the place, like somebody taking out like 5, 10 people. It was realistic. Like you had somebody get killed in the movie, it was just one person getting shot, and the way they kind of did this stuff was realistic. And and there's a scene in a movie where a guy takes out multiple people. I'm not going to disclose it. And he caught him, of course, off guard in an ambush, So it's definitely very different than, of course, movies that just depict somebody just going in and going Rambo on a bunch of people. So it definitely deserves the praise it gets. It's definitely not overrated. I know a lot of people say that just because a lot of people talk about it all the time, but it's definitely not overrated. I think it deserves the praise and the glory it gets, if anything. To be quite honest with you, to be blunt with you, for that matter. So it definitely deserves the stuff it gets. Now, the other thing I also wanted to mention, aside from, that particular topic, of course, is that when it comes to the movie, and of course the message of the movie is what I'm going to get at, is that all it really does show is how we as a black community in general are going to have to do better than being in the situations. Because when you look at the movie, a lot of the things that it said would happen actually are happening today in the black community. Everything from gentrification, to other things as well. To, of course, another one, of course, being how one violent murder leads to another violent murder, and that violent murder leads to another violent murder. Of course, the trail of vengeance and all that type of stuff. It was a very prophetic movie, which when we look at the world today, we can see, of course, a lot of things that are happening in the movie are happening today. So that's the truth of the matter when it comes to that particular movie. In all honesty, to be quite honest, so it definitely not only deserves the praise, but we as a black community should look at that and make sure that we obviously do better than what you see going on in the movie, okay, if anything. Because the truth of the matter is, especially when it comes to the black people living in the suburbs, like, come on, man, you gotta be completely real with you, man. You need to understand, most of that shit is not needed. And a lot of black kids in the hood, in the suburbs more like, try to act like they're from the hood, but when you live that life and you act that way, all it does is show to white people, you see what we told you, You guys are savages. We give you the opportunity to have a better life, in a good community, and you guys still continue to act like that. And that's exactly what I am trying to get across here. And for that very reason, you know, that is why, of course, you know, we as a community are gonna have to do better than this stuff and start calling out those suburban wannabe thugs who act that freaking way, and that's the truth of the matter. But either way, you get the point of what I'm trying to say here, is that we are gonna have to do better than the way we're doing, because when you look at the way the movie was depicting the situation, that was ugly, and that's obviously not something most people want to experience. So that's definitely something that we're, as a black community, are going to have to work on, if anything, and as a truth in the matter. So anyway, this is my video. All I have to say is that I hope you enjoyed it, and just remember, if you like this video and videos like this, remember to thumbs this video up and hit the subscribe button. And this is all I have to say, and simply put, I'm out. So bye.